Let's bring in Mark Lazerus. Does a great job covering Chicago for us. And
speak for yourself.
Live from the playroom. Live from the playroom.
Sorry,
Mark
there's
Lazerus.
nothing happening. I'm trying.
I just want to. I was listening to you guys with Fluto, and the last two teams that were as good as the Bruins are, right, were the Lightning that won like 60 games and lost in the first round. And the 2013 Blackhawks, who started out 21-0-3, they won the cup, but they almost lost in the second round. They were down 3-1 to a mediocre Detroit team, had to win in overtime of Game 7. This is the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like, the Bruins have like a 20% chance at best of winning the Stanley Cup because hockey's just so stupid like that. So let's all pump the brakes a little bit on the Bruins.
This has been a humbling week for me and my Bruins are going to go wire to wire.
They're awesome. They should.
Off and getting hurt. I was like, oh.
In a just world, the Bruins would go wire to wire. They're clearly the best team. And Carolina's awesome, and there's all these other good teams. It's not even close, but that's just not how this sport works.
No, we don't get fun things. What's it been like, Laz, dealing with, obviously this wasn't the biggest deal of the deadline in terms of the return, which is kind of wild to see Patrick Kane not bring in a haul. I understand that he's been hurt. I understand that he hasn't had the stat line this season, but I feel like there wasn't a player with a better resume available at the deadline this season. What's the whole Patrick Kane saga been like for you, Laz, and then watching him obviously debut on Broadway last night against the Sens?
Well, it's been excruciating because we've been talking about it for like a year and a half now. So in some respects, I'm just glad it's over with. Right. But it's kind of weird how the Blackhawks traded the greatest player in team history, and I do believe he's the greatest player in team history. And they got, a second rounder, a conditional second rounder, and a fourth rounder for him. And that's actually pretty good considering that they had no leverage whatsoever, that Kane only wanted to go to New York, and that Chris Drury knew he only wanted to go to New York. I mean, Kyle Davidson did a decent job of getting what he got, but what he got was awful. I mean, Patrick Kane was supposed to be the piece that really kickstarted this whole rebuild, right? He's going to bring in a first-round pick, a high-end prospect. Jonathan Toews was going to get you a second-rounder, at least something like that, because who wouldn't want Jonathan Toews as their third-line center? And now Toews is off the table because, he's dealing with long COVID. We don't know when he's going to play again, if he's going to play again. And Kane got you a middling return. I mean, we've seen 8, 9, 10 first-round picks handed out this year for mediocre defensemen, and Patrick freaking Kane can't get you more than a second rounder. I mean, that's the power of the no movement clause. And, Kyle Davidson's done a good job. He's got a first rounder and 4 second rounders, I think, so far this deadline. But it's hard to look at this as anything but a failure because you traded Patrick Kane and you got very little for it.
Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like Giroux last year. Giroux was like, like you said, I'm only going here, Florida, Colorado, maybe that was it. And it's tough, but overall, did Kyle Davidson do what he wanted to do with this roster, Laz? Because obviously Max Domi went as well, but they're stripping it down. They've made no bones about it. We all knew that was going to happen. Did he kind of shed everything that you thought he would shed? I know we're almost at 3:00, so maybe there's something else to come, but how would you grade Davidson at the deadline clearly in a seller's mode?
Can I add one thing too? Sorry.
Yes.
Claude Giroux at least got the Flyers a first-round pick.
Yeah. No, I mean, if Kyle Davidson's goal was to make the worst team in the history of the NHL for these last 21 games, and it kind of was his goal, he succeeded. I mean, in the last, 10 months, he's traded Alex DeBrincat, Kirby Dach. He let Dylan Strome walk. He let Dominic Kubalik walk. He traded Patrick Kane. He traded Jake McCabe. He traded Sam Lafferty. He traded everybody on the roster. Like, it's Connor Murphy and Seth Jones looking around the room like, dude, what happened? Where'd everybody go? I mean, this is going to be and even their best prospects are going to spend the next month in Rockford because getting them playoff experience in the AHL is more important than winning in the NHL. Obviously, they want to lose. They're trying to get Connor Bedard. They're trying to be as bad as humanly possible, and they still have to, quote unquote, catch up to the Blue Jackets, right? They're not even the worst team in the league right now by points or points percentage. So they got some room to go because they won too many games this year with this lineup. But there's a quarter of the season left, and oh my God, the roster they had at practice today. It's hard to imagine any team losing to this team, frankly. And it's hockey again. It's a dumb sport. Things will happen. There's Peter Mrazek or Alex Stalock are competent goalies who will steal a game here or there. But with 21 games left, it wouldn't shock me to see the Hawks win 2 or 3 of them.
Mm-hmm. I guess last one from me, Laz, is Why is Chicago the ideal destination for Connor Bedard? Because it seems like we're heading in that direction. So let's just get the good vibes going in that.
Get the tinfoil hat on that they're going to chill the ping pong balls and all that, Patrick Ewing style. I mean, obviously the league would love for him to be in Chicago. Chicago, for 12 years there, whatever it was a huge moneymaker, the biggest moneymaker in the States for the league. The league is better off when Chicago is good. When Chicago is bad, it's bad for the league. So obviously Bedard coming to Chicago and re-energizing the hockey city and selling. I mean, they've done a good job selling tickets this year and selling jerseys and stuff, but people were still buying Kane and Taves jerseys. Then nobody's buying a Seth Jones jersey. Nobody's buying an Andreas Athanasiou jersey. So if they get Bedard, that's great. I mean, you can make an argument that Columbus, it would be great to have Bedard with Gaudreau and build that up as a market. It would be great to have him in Southern California and Anaheim. It'd be great to have him in Arizona with the new arena coming in a few years. But I think if the league had its druthers, Chicago is clearly the number one choice where they would want to place Connor Bedard, because when Chicago was, I mean, how many freaking NBC sports games did Chicago have over those years where they were on top? Every single Wednesday night, they were Wednesday night rivalry against some random Eastern Conference team that they couldn't care about because they just wanted Chicago on TV. The league likes Chicago to be good. The league wants Chicago to be good. So if you got your tinfoil hat on, that's a good one.